Small group ministry is a program found throughout many of our Unitarian Universalist congregations. The program here at UUSF has been in existence for almost a decade. By show of hands, how many people have participated in a small group ministry program? Quite a few. It's a wonderful opportunity for connection with others on a regular basis, delving into topics that are important to our lives. This year, because we are engaging monthly themes, our small groups will be a place to deepen our conversations around the theme or discover other perspectives on the theme. The groups will have materials to choose from and questions tailored to the monthly theme. In addition, we will have groups beyond our traditional groups for people to engage. We will have a monthly Craft the Theme group run by Debbie Wu. Debbie, you want to raise your hand? Which will meet in a small group style, but will actually use art materials to figure out how they want to respond to the theme. We will have groups specifically for young adults run by Emma Wakeling. Emma's raising her hand. Our BIPOC members run by Reverend Shennum Fong over in the back there. And a parent guardian group, which will be run by me. Our small groups are one of the places we live into our congregational covenant. It's a time of really, truly deep listening to each other. These are not discussion groups or conversation groups. Instead, they are groups that encourage you to go to that deep place of listening, where you sit with and hear what is being shared, where you sit with your own thoughts and wisdom about topics not normally discussed. What I love most about small groups is how they organically build trust and relationship that is needed for sharing to be intimate and vulnerable. They do this by not jumping into deep conversations. Instead, you start with a known format with each session. The format includes a chalice lighting, a check-in by each member, a moment of pause or silence, a reading, some music, a poem on the theme, and questions to ponder, and then a closing. The space is held by a trained facilitator, and agreements of how the group will be together are put forth. The agreements, which are known ahead of time, are standard for every group and are as follows: listen deeply, respect differences, no crosstalk, so we're not on trial to each other. Use I statements. Don't expect resolution. So if you're coming to a small group to find an answer, that's not the place. Respect privacy. Share group ownership. Attend consistently. And you have a right to pass if you don't want to share that day. Through regular group meetings and building a relationship over the months of sharing, the intimacy and vulnerability happen. People learn so much about each other and themselves through this process. It is one of my favorite types of ministries to lead. So enough of me talking about small groups. Let's step into a spiritual practice of small groups by experiencing a modified version this morning. The materials I have put together are from a previous Soul Matters theme from 2021, and the theme was for the month Becoming. The poem and questions can be found in the insert of your order of service. Please pull that out and keep it with you. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to form a small group of 3 to 4 people. I would like you to find in your group at least one person you don't know very well. If you would like to be in a BIPOC small group, then Reverend Shennum Fong, raise your hand again, is back in the back, and you can join him. If you would like to be in a young adult small group, Emma, raise your hand again, will lead our small group. She's also in a really bright color, so she's easy to spot. For those of you who would rather just contemplate on your own, you are welcome to do that as well. You can just sit in your seat, look at the materials, and contemplate on your own. And online, you will have the opportunity to see the materials. Alicia will be posting them in there, and you can discuss them in the chat as well. So I invite you to find your small group and take the insert with you. Don't dive into sharing yet, just move into groups. Okay, once you've found your group, I'd like you to introduce yourself to each other, share your name and something that inspired you to be here this morning. One word or phrase that inspired you to be here this morning. Okay, all right, now to move on to our second portion. So you have your insert. I'm going to read the poem through once. You're going to be in this group for quite an extended amount of time. So if you're standing, you may want to find a seat if that's more comfortable for you. If not, that's fine too. So I'm going to read the poem. Pay attention to what resonates with you or causes tension. And once I'm done reading, you can review the questions that accompany the poem on the back and decide where your heart feels it wants to share today. Okay? The poem is famous by Niobe Shahib Nai. The river is famous to the fish. The loud voice is famous to silence, which knew it would inherit the earth before anybody said so. The cat sleeping on the fence is famous to the birds watching him from the birdhouse. The tear is famous, briefly, to the cheek. The idea you carry close to your bosom is famous to your bosom. The boot is famous to the earth, more famous than the dress shoe, which is famous only to floors. The bent photograph is famous to the one who carries it, and not at all famous to the one who is pictured. I want to be famous to shuffling men who smile while crossing streets, sticky children in grocery lines, famous as the one who smiled back. I want to be famous in the way a pulley is famous, or a buttonhole, not because it did anything spectacular, but because it never forgot what it could do. So in your small groups, take time to share with each other your thoughts or reflection. If you're not speaking, just listen. This is not a time to ask questions or respond to the person speaking. It's only a time to share and listen. And after each person shares, please take a moment just to pause. Allow a space to pause before the next person shares. And we will do this for 20 minutes. Feel free to engage. Okay, wrap up your sharing. If you'd like to move back to where you were previously, feel free to do so. Thank you for coming back to our larger group. My hope is you felt a little bit of the magic that happens during a small group conversation, that you get to learn about other people, hear some of their thoughts and their reflections on a theme that you may not be discussing on a regular basis. I realize, after talking about monthly themes, that the staff and I have been talking about this, and there's some select people in the congregation that have been talking about this, but it hasn't necessarily been presented to the congregation what we're doing as far as monthly themes. So let me back up a little bit and explain. We're going to be engaging a program called Soul Matters, and they develop all kinds of materials, and they develop monthly themes. So for instance, the larger theme for the whole year, from September through June, is the practice of, okay? And then each month we'll have a different word that goes with it. In September, it's the practice of invitation, okay? So this means in worship, we will delve into that. In small groups, we'll delve into it. We will have a craft group that will delve into it. We will have workshops on that theme for the month. Our ministers' book group will have a specific book on that theme. Our children and youth will be diving into that theme. So this means conversations about that theme will be bubbling everywhere. We're also going to be bringing back our community suppers. We'll do maybe 2 or 3 of those this year. And whatever the theme is of that month, I know, exciting. Whatever the theme is of that month, we'll have questions about that theme at those community suppers. So I really look forward to the enrichment, the deepening, the relationship building, the community building that we'll be doing with these themes and in conversation with each other. So that gives you a little bit more perspective of what I'm talking about when I'm talking about monthly themes. If you're interested in signing up for small group ministry, you have a QR code in your order of service. It's also going to be in the flame on a regular basis. And if you want just a regular paper form to sign up, there's some on the table outside in the gallery, so feel free to do that. If you have questions about it, you can ask me. You can ask, where's Ralph? Ralph Finn and Megan Leamer, Debbie Wu. I mean, there's who else would be willing to answer questions on small group ministry? Reverend Shannon could probably answer questions about the BIPOC group, and Emma on the young adult group. So feel free to reach out and ask the questions that you need. Also, if you want to become a facilitator, I'll hold a training, and you will be trained in how to facilitate. It doesn't take any special skills. It's just a matter of being able to hold space and have a space of listening.